Okay, with Sonja Grace, Spirit Traveler, Looking into the Past for a Better Future. It's a short film play at the Sci-Fi Fantasy Film Festival. Sonja, you're busy. You're an author, you're a mystic healer, you're a spiritual teacher, you're an energy surgeon. Am I missing anything else from your list of professions?
No, no, you hit it on the mark. I'm very busy. I've got a full clientele. I'm booked almost throughout 2024 with clients, and I've got several film projects in the hopper, and I'm writing. I just finished two books, and I'm writing the next one. So yeah, I'm definitely busy.
So you're like you said, you got a list of clients. Does that mean like you do like readings with them? Is that what you do mainly?
No, I'm more like a surgeon. I go in and repair hearts and livers and spleens. I work on cancer and blood disease and you name it. I've worked on it. And
Not like
I'm
a practical, like a Western medicine, like doctor. You're a spiritual surgeon.
so I'll give you a scenario.
Yeah.
Somebody in Singapore calls me and says, Sonia, I'm having problems with my gallbladder and I've got a lot of pain. Can you help me? And I'll go in where I am in Arizona and work on their body as if they're in front of me and clean out the gallbladder and get the bile duct clear and work on the liver. And I work on them energetically, but the whatever this means, there is no time and space thing for me, which is why I made the film Spirit Traveler, because I experience time and space completely different than most people. And obviously with a calendar that's booked for 2024, I'm very effective. So I will go in and do the healing work or whatever is needed for the person, and also emotional content that's stored from that physical problem. Because whatever we're dealing with in our body, it originates from an emotional issue.
But sometimes there's just physical injuries, I guess, right? Like somebody, like I, I basically like someone slams my arm on the door and I break my arm. That's you can't heal that spiritually, I guess. It's like but I understand like things are
No, I don't
psychosomatic, I
agree.
guess,
I,
or
I don't agree with you, and I'm going to just intercept your
no,
statement
no,
for
go ahead because
just a
I'm
sec.
just throwing things out. I want to hear what you say.
Yeah, yeah. So we have karma, right? We've got multiple lifetimes that
Gotcha.
we've all lived. Okay. So get this. You really find this interesting. Let's say you're back in Rome, at the third century, and you're in a battle and your arm gets, bladed and, you die from it, you bleed out, right? Then, excuse me, the next century, you're in another battle, and
You're saying like
your
when we
gets
were
crushed
reincarnated.
and it keeps going. So those physical problems that you or I or anybody has are often repeated lifetime after lifetime. They're different. Maybe you only get your leg crushed this time. Maybe you lost your leg in another life. But these are all karmic pieces that we're dealing with.
I can even say that in my own lifetime. It's like everything like where we repeat our patterns over and over again. We get accustomed to a certain personality.
That's right.
Yeah. So how do
That's
we
right.
break the pattern?
Well, that takes a lot of emotional work, and I don't mean that to sound daunting. I just mean that enthusiastically, if we go in and we do the inner work, we work with the inner child, we do a lot of processing work, we can get at that stuff a lot better than if we just, Western medicinize it and put a Band-Aid on it and give you two aspirin and say, go home.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it really does require us being present and engaged in what is our creation. I mean, our karma is our creation. We're not used to in our society taking responsibility for that. We're much more victim oriented where, oh, this happened to me. Oh, they hit me. Oh, that happened. This person did this. It's very victim oriented rather than acknowledging, we have all these past lives. You and I have karma, other people have karma. Did you ever wonder why you never talk to like all the people in New York that you might walk past? You don't know any of them. And it's because you don't have any karma with those people. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I always call this, we live in a society of poor me, look at me syndrome, meaning that like that a lot of people are like you see it on you see it on social media all the time, right? Like
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
and
Yeah,
that
it is. It's a victim-based society, and I'm trying to do my part one client at a time. I teach workshops, I do meditation retreats, and of course I make films. And I think it's important not to preach, not to say, hey, my way is the way. I think it's important to simply inspire, to show people that there's another way of looking at it.
but do you believe in Western medicine? Like for example, like my daughter
Oh,
has strep throat. Would you believe in getting
hands
medication
down,
to,
hands
yeah,
down. Let me tell you, if I'm dealing with, and I've got a lot of clients who have cancer, a lot.
yeah,
I am absolutely the go-to person to say, okay, go get a scan. That's Western medicine. Go talk to your oncologist. That's Western medicine.
yeah.
Have me work on it energetically. Go to your acupuncturist and get all that going. Get on some Chinese herbs. I'm like, everybody should be involved. All hands on deck.
Okay, so let's talk about your origin story. How did you know that you had a gift, or did you someone train you, or is it a
Yeah,
combination of both?
well, I was a weird kid.
Well,
I was a weird kid. I had all systems on. I was born this way. So, my earliest memory was being 2 years old and rolling the crib across the floor. And, if you know the cribs back in the day, they're really, really heavy. There's no way I could have done that. And, my guides are these, high angelic beings on both sides of the crib, knocking the door, banging the door with the crib. And my poor mom walking in going, what's going on? Freaking out because how can this little 2-year-old person move the crib, right? So from that to me putting hands on all of our farm animals and trying to heal them when I was 5, and, seeing the entire spirit world walk through my bedroom at 12. I mean, the only avenue that my poor mom and dad could take with me, because I was so out there, I could see, hear, feel, smell, and weirdly taste everything in the spirit realm. They put me in ballet class, and I trained as a classical ballerina. I danced professionally for about 15 years and was with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for 10. So, yeah, I had a whole performance career as I was developing. And then luckily, I sat in front of a teacher, my first teacher, who recognized what the heck was going on with me. And she kind of helped me corral everything. So yeah, I did
gotcha.
have training, thank God, because I was, I'd walk down the street and see yellow and purple on people. Like, what is that? Why do they have yellow and purple paint on them? And my friends would be like, I don't see that.
So you found a good mentor. Where did you find the mentor to help you kind of guide your gifts?
She was in San Francisco, and my second teacher referred me to her, and then I came back to the second teacher, and then I had a third teacher after that. So being classically ballet trained, I'm a stickler about training. I think it's very important if people are going to put a hat on and say I'm a healer, that A, you're really born with these gifts, and B, you have proper training.
Yeah.
Because, it's like a doctor. You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess there's like skills and talent. Like you have talent
Yeah.
for being a spiritual healer, but you need to have build a skill set. You need to basically build a body of work to. It's like an athlete. An athlete just doesn't just even though they're talented doesn't mean that they can go play in the majors. They have to finesse. They have to practice their skills all the time, right? And it's the
That's
same for you.
right. That's right. And I've been doing this work for 43 years. So I have spent a lot of time studying and looking up things in the body, and what is a detached retina, and, what is a hernia? I mean, there's so many things to learn about the body. And again, my mission, if you will, is to not only work on people, but to empower people to take responsibility for their body, for like knowing what's going on. Because even your Western medicine doctor is running back to his office and Googling your symptoms to figure out what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
people don't always realize that. They just walk in like, oh, it's the doctor. I can trust him.
well, they're only taking care of one thing, the
Right.
physical. They're not taking care of the emotional, right? So
Exactly. And it's compartmentalized a lot. Like, oh, I'm only your heart doctor. We're only dealing with the heart.
yeah.
Yeah,
And sometimes their job is just to save somebody, like keep someone alive. They're not there to heal them,
that's
as you
right.
said.
Right. They're not there to do an hour-long processing session so you can understand the emotional component as to why you just had a heart attack. Right.
You're you said that you're both Native American and Norwegian. So you're
Yes.
Scandinavian meets North Native or Aboriginal. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty interesting combination.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got to really express both. I wrote a book called Dancing with Raven and Bear, which were my own kind of native-esque stories that I tell. And then I got to play out the other side, which is my Oracle deck, Odin and the Nine Realms, which is all about Norse mythology. So, and of course, I wrote a book, Spirit Traveler, which is very much along the lines of my film that you guys gave me the award for best documentary. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was cool.
your ideology is that you believe in reincarnation. You believe that we've been other people before.
100,000%.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have worked with people. In fact, there was one woman, I did a past life reading for her, and I saw her, she's a singer in this life. I saw her as a singer in her last life in Singapore, and she was, like not well known, but she was on stage a lot. And she went and did a search, and I kid you not, she found the woman who she had been in her last life, and she looked exactly like this woman looks today. Identical, identical. It was crazy. And I've found that with people I've done past life readings for who were on the Arizona, during World War II and it sunk in Pearl Harbor. I mean, they find themselves when they do the search. So I know you've seen videos. I'm sure you've seen videos of some little 5-year-old playing Beethoven. And you're like, how is that even possible? That kid's 5 years old. Well, yeah, okay. So there's some great musician that's reincarnated and totally gets the piano.
But I guess the question, do we only become humans?
Yeah, we only reincarnate as humans.
Yeah.
As much as we'd like to think we had past lives as dogs, we weren't.
It just for me that like I'll play the devil's advocate. And for me, it seems like a little bit of human narcissism, meaning that we're just animals just like everybody else. We just happen to evolve in the last 100,000 years because of our thumbs and our ability to kind of function. But so I'm just interesting that like do animals reincarnate as well? Is that or is it just humans?
If we venture off into animals, I'm going to say the biggest thing I've learned about animals is that they're the healers on this planet. They're the ones that take
What
care
particular
of
is there a
us.
particular animal?
No, all of them, all
Okay.
of them. I mean, if
But
in
we're
my
not
native,
animal.
in
That's what I'm
my,
saying. We're animals
in
too. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? We
I
just happen
know,
to
but in
evolve.
my native culture, we look at, bear medicine, deer medicine, hawk medicine, all these different animals as medicine. And, if you have a dog or a cat and they come and sit on your lap, you know that they're kind of absorbing your day. They're absorbing kind of what you're dealing with. And they're
Yeah,
they're very much healers. Yeah.
gotcha. All right, so tell me about, okay, so when did you decided like, because you obviously you're busy, you write and you do, like you said, you have all these
Mhm.
clients, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm gonna make films now. When was the choice to start making movies?
Well, I have been making films for quite some time,
Okay.
but this is the first time I've entered a film in film festivals, right? But I wanted to, Spirit Traveler is really important to me. I have a nonfiction book line. I just finished the second one. The first one's already out. And then I have a fiction book line called The Adventures of Spirit Traveler. And I just finished the book. I'm looking to get it published. And it's sort of taking my experience as a spirit traveler being able to go back in history and see what really happened and turning that experience into a fiction story. So we're looking to get the book published, and we have a feature film that we're in the process of getting placed. So it's exciting because I've got, both sides happening. I've got, like the film, Spirit Traveler, that, looking into the past, for a better future. That film is very indicative of the nonfiction book line. It's me out in the field discovering something, which, by the way, that alien handprint in the film is not something that people know about. That's actually something that we found. So, I've had people watch the film and say, oh, that's probably some place that people know about to go to. We were way the heck out there in the middle of nowhere in Utah.
So that was another thing too. So you believe in people from other galaxies and other planets.
Totally. You find a handprint like that? Yeah, totally. I see ships here all the time. I mean, we live maybe 2.5 hours from the reservation, the Hopi reservation. And my husband, who is the filmmaker, is from Hopi. I'm adopted out at Hopi, and we've got family and friends out there that send us videos of UFOs and lights and all kinds of things all the time. And even here where we live in Arizona, we see them all the time. So yeah, I'm very much a believer. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just throwing and making sure that, but also too, like it's fair to say that your film is a good showcase of who you are. It's like if people want to know who you are, they just say, watch this film. This is me in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, it doesn't cover the healing aspect of what I do, but it definitely covers, sort of the let's look at this from a different angle. And I loved that about the reviews that you guys filmed people giving, in that there were several of them where they said, I never knew this, or I never knew of, and I was so happy. It was like, oh my God, that's all I want, is for the film to open someone's mind, to have that moment of, wow, I've never looked at it that way, or I never knew that. That was cool.
Yeah, no, because listen, we're just starting we're not even 1% in of understanding what this is all about. I'm talking about life.
Yeah.
And so it's and we can't get pigeonholed in certain, this is what happens in capitalistic societies where like we're so busy, we're trying to make money, blah, blah, blah. And then you get so wrapped into conventions, and then you kind of like don't take a step back. And I think that's what your film does to people. Makes them take a step back and go, oh, there's a different perspective on some things.
Right, right, exactly. And it's not to me, it's more of my experience, both in spirit traveling and also being there in person and discovering what we discovered. So it's kind of a nice combination of both.
Yeah. So tell me about the process of this particular film. So it's 14 to 13 and a half minutes. Did you
Mhm.
write a script first and go, okay, this is what I'm gonna tackle in this film, and then you went out and shot it? Like, what was your process?
Yeah, we had we had sort of a really creative process, because some of the film footage was shot in England, 10 years ago, and some of the film footage was shot in Scotland only 3 years ago, and some of the film footage was shot recently. So we had sort of this eclectic mixture of film footage that we crafted our story with. And, Christina Cahill, who produced on it, is a genius, and she really helped do a lot of that crafting. And Shannon Lucier did the animation and also produced. And, my hat's off to both of them, because they did such a wonderful job.
And you're showing like kind of unique points of the world, I guess, right? Like things that kind of don't make
Yeah.
sense to the from a logical
Well,
standpoint, I
and,
guess.
and isn't it fascinating that you can take two cultures, Hopi culture, which is, a small reservation in the middle of Arizona, and you can take, uh, you know, Celtic culture, and find these similarities and these things that both cultures share. But because they're on opposite sides of the world, they don't necessarily know that.
Mhm.
I mean, my good friend, Dr. Kieran O'Mahony, who wrote The Brain-Based Classroom, he sat down with my husband, Sean Sakoima, the filmmaker, and the two of them, Ireland and Hopi, sat and told stories about their culture. And you would have been shocked. It was like they were from the same place. They were telling the same story. It was crazy.
Yeah, there, I guess everybody's looking for every culture is looking for meaning of some kind, right? We're trying to like either a higher power or some sort of understanding. We're always looking for an understanding. We just don't like take it in and say we're just living. We don't know why, I guess.
Right, and no matter what the foundation is, the belief system, the religion, the, you know, whatever that group
Yeah,
believes, there is a commonality between all of them. There's a
yeah,
commonality. And I think that commonality has to do with the unseen world and earth medicine. What we really, if do we take the time to learn what we're supposed to learn from the planet? Most people don't. Most people get in their car, they drive to work, they walk down a sidewalk, they're totally disconnected from the planet.
yeah.
And so much of what Spirit Traveler is about is connecting people back to that earth medicine.
Yeah, but at the same time, people can like are people are free to do what they want, right? But I think
Yeah,
that's my subjective opinion. But I'm saying that, but I think
yeah,
people are interested in what in some sort of understanding and meeting. That's why religion is so so popular, is because we want,
sure,
yeah, we want to understand
sure.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But I love being able to, really, I'm in total gratitude to get to share my perspective. And
yeah,
I can't, you know, if it touches someone and touches their heart, great. If they don't like it, great. It's like
yeah.
I'm really just grateful to get to share it.
Are
Yeah.
you able to under like this is probably not in your job description, is that because you're talking about reincarnation, are you able to understand what someone else's like my past life would be? I don't want you to do it. I'm using a hypothetical. Are you able to to
Yeah.
basically to know what someone's past life is?
Yes. Yes.
And how do you do that?
I would ask you, if you and I were to do that right now, I would ask you what year you were born and where. And then it's like I see a thread going from that place where you were born. Sometimes I even see like your mom and you being born, but I see a thread going up into the ethers and it comes back down where your last lifetime was. And then like a big hologram in my office, I all of a sudden I'm shown the lifetime. And I can't really talk to you or say anything until it happens, you know, like I'm watching, I'm blabbing to you what's happening. And
Mhm.
then after that, then we can talk about it. But yeah, I it's an amazing experience.
But you have to
It's
be in a
a
certain zone to do that. Like I say,
it's a humbling experience.
but you have to be
Yes.
like I said 1975 Niagara Falls, Ontario. But you can't just it doesn't just snap for you, and you have to be in a certain point of frame of
No,
mind, I guess, right?
it's pretty snapped for me.
Yeah.
It's pretty snapped for me. I actually see you on the born on the border of Italy and France, in northern Italy, in your last life.
Well, that's what my genetic map says. Yeah. So maybe you're onto something.
Yeah, yeah,
And what was I
yeah.
doing? Hopefully, was I a good guy?
You're so funny. Well, you were male in your last lifetime and you worked on a farm in northern Italy. Your demise in this lifetime was when the Nazis bombed some of those areas, and your family and your village was one of the areas that got bombed. So you died quite young. I think you were about 26.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So if you have, okay, so here's a really good thing about past lives. Do you ever ask people who come to you and say, God, I've got this thing. I got to go to Italy. I don't know why, but I really want to go to Italy.
Yeah.
Or somebody's obsessed with Japan. They're not Japanese. I got to go to Japan. It's not because they read a travel magazine. It's because they actually are karmically connected to those places. And they have to go back to either solve something, heal something, resolve something. I'm sure you've met people that you have a really intense relationship with, and you wonder, like, what the heck is this
Sure.
about? Like, why are we like this? Again, past lives, karma. You know,
Gotcha.
I killed you, you killed me. Here we are trying to make up now. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you just said that. Well, I was born on the border of the United States and Canada. Then you say in my past life I was on the border of Italy and France. So maybe I'm
Right.
just a border kid. Every lifetime I'm just going to a border, right? Eating two different cultures at the same time.
Now you have to do a movie about borders. I love it.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's I just
I
no,
love
I
it.
find that fascinating. So okay, so you interviewed some people in this film particular. Thank you for that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, so I
No,
appreciate that.
no, you can put me on the spot. It's fine.
So you interviewed Aiden, who's the Hollywood healer. You interviewed a couple other
It-
people. Did you
yeah.
like what was your did you interview more people than they just didn't happen to be in the film? But what was your kind of process?
No, we used all the interviews. Aiden is a dear friend of mine, and he's just a wonderful healer, psychic, advisor. I mean, he's got an amazing clientele, and he's fantastic. There's very few people in my industry that I respect and trust, and he is one that I respect and trust. Dr. Kirano Mahoney, who we interviewed, I mentioned him.
Mhm.
He wrote The Brain-Based Classroom. He's a phenomenal PhD in early childhood psychology. We go way back in our friendship. April from the Hopi Reservation. She's a school teacher and a really stellar human being. And the grandma that we interviewed that's her husband's mother. And she celebrated, I think, her 91st birthday when the film came out.
Gotcha. And then
Yeah.
as you pointed out too, you have some animation that you did, and you hired somebody to do the animation of the worlds, especially in the end of the film. And then there's some I'm assuming you got some stock footage as well to kind of complete the film.
Yeah. Shannon Lucier did all the animation work, and she produced on the film. She's super talented. I'm doing projects with her. The Adventures of Spirit Traveler, the feature film, is Shannon's on that, and she's got an amazing background of producing and directing and computer. I mean, she's a computer wizard, really, animator. Yeah.
And so now you're going to make the feature film.
We're going to do a feature film of The Adventures of Spirit Traveler, the fiction series. So there's a difference. There's the fiction, which is I wrote the book based on my spirit travels, and there's the nonfiction, which is my actual experience in real time. Right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when is that you're in the process of making it right now?
We're in the process of getting everything launched. So it's in the hopper.
It's in the hopper.
Yeah, it's in the hopper. We have not gone out and filmed yet.
Gotcha.
Right.
I like that word. I haven't heard that word in a long time. That's a
The
good one.
hopper.
No, it should be used more often. We should get it out there.
Okay.
It's a really interesting film. I was very much intrigued. I was curious because you submitted to like the sci-fi festival, but it's very much a reality based film. But when I watched it, I'm like, yeah, let's see what the audience has to say, and they seem to really be taken by it. As you said in the past, it leads to more questions. It leads to more curiosity. I think that was your point, I guess, right? That's what you wanted from
Right.
people.
I did. And I think too, my husband being Hopi and the filmmaker, I think that he has this connection, as do I, with our culture and sort of looking at other cultures because we travel so much and experiencing sort of the aha of so many similarities, and then sort of the stories about lights in the sky, or the fairy folk, or like all this otherworldly stuff that other cultures have.
Mhm.
And I think we both have that desire to share that with people,
Yeah.
that these aliens came and influenced humanity, whether humanity knows it or not. There's stories out at Hopi. I point like it's that way.
Yeah.
There's stories out there a long time ago of little alien beings walking through the village holding the elders' hands. And I mean, numerous people out there have stories of ships landing right outside the mesa. Yeah.
One of the themes too is, I don't know if this is conscious or unconscious on your part, but it's like it's like, because especially because of the lens that we're watching the film in 2024, is that we have more in common with each other than we don't, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about cultures, you're talking
Yeah.
about like the tribes that we all are grow up in or we all live in. We
Right.
have more, like, we sometimes forget that how much what common we have. If you're an American, there's a huge election coming up, very divided country, but we don't talk about the commonalities that we have. We talk about what we're not, what separates us, not what puts us together.
Right. And you know what people in this country forget? And I'm going to share this because I just went through it. We just traveled to Italy and we went all through Italy from Verona down to Rome. And the thing that I found fascinating is everybody that we ran into did not speak English, but listened to American music 24/7.
Like
That's
pop
all
music.
we heard. That's all we heard was American music. And on television, all we saw on the news was American politics. And it was such a big reminder for me of how our country is held, regarded. There's a lot of, like importance about America, and that we can't forget that. We cannot forget that.
Yeah, it's the 100%. You're like, when you're on top of the mountain, you're like the number one country in the world. You have a lot of responsibility.
That's right.
Plus, let's be honest here, it's a little bit of a soap opera, so people like soap operas. That's what's
Yeah, yeah.
happening.
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
it when we were watching the news, it kind of felt like the way you feel when you're watching the news in Britain, about the
Yeah,
king and, all the drama and everything. It's like, oh yeah, we're like that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, I can't wait to see your feature film. I wish you the best. Thank you for doing this, because I know you probably talk on Zoom all the time with your
Oh,
clients,
thank
and
you.
and
Yeah,
and, and usually on the other side. So hope this was good for you on your end.
it
And
was great. Thank you for having me on. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
100%. And like I said, let's talk again when it's made into, we're always here. Well, when it's made into a feature.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Take care.